Big Balls Fantasy Football, the only show by real fantasy football fans, for real fantasy football fans. I'm your host, 20-year fantasy veteran, Greg Reifsteck.
And I am your co-host, Jenilee Borek, also a 10-year fantasy veteran and a big Chicago Bears fan. I'm in my brand new jersey for the season, so I'm very excited about that. And together we are the beauty
and the beast
of fantasy football experts.
So all of you out there, I can see you all out there. You're all wading around in the muck, in the mire. It's yet another bye week, but it is the worst bye week. There are the most fantasy quarterbacks that actually mean something out this week. Tell us about it, Jenilee.
That's right. We have Peyton Manning out, who I know is killing a lot of you. Stafford is out, who has been balling out. And Kaepernick, who started off slow, but has been getting it done as of late. So those are three quarterbacks that are out that are going to be tough. And can I mention the one wide receiver that is going to be out for people that's tough?
Your romance?
Megatron is out as well, even though I don't have him this year, so I don't like him as much because I have to play against him.
That's why I have a bromance with Kaepernick, because I actually have him, and I'm in a situation on one of my teams that this is when you screw up with your bye weeks. I have Peyton Manning, and then I have Kaepernick on my bench. So I'm going to tell you the quarterback that I put in my picks that's going to save me this week. There are a lot of other positions you're going to have to save yourself at. You know, a lot of wide receivers are out. A lot of running backs.
Reggie is out. That's going to kill me. I have about, I think, 5 or 6 players out in one of my leagues. So I have no idea as of yet what I'm doing with that league.
Right. I've looked mine over, and I'm going to be listening to Prost later in the show because he's going to be on from his Packer man cave down in San Diego, and he's going to give us an injury report. I'm listening intently because there's a lot of last-minute people and a lot of last-minute players you're not going to have at your disposal either. So that's why you're trudging. You're trudging. You're going to make it. You're going to make it. Thanks to Big Balls Fantasy Football, if you listen to us.
And it's not going to be an easy week either for us Bears fans.
No, not at all.
We have to play the Packers the first time this season, and we don't have our quarterback. We don't have Lance Briggs. We've got a few other people that are banged up a little bit. So what's your prediction on this game?
Well, and a lot of other ands. And we're in Lambeau. And it's the first time we've played in Lambeau on Monday Night Football since 1997. A lot of ands. But I do have some positives here.
Okay, I want to hear the stats. I know you came up with a bunch of them.
Well, it's all the ones every other sports show talks about, but I find them really interesting. We first met, Jenilee, in 1921. We were called the Chicago Staleys. They were the Packers because they were a bunch of, meat packers up there, cheese packers, all that crap. November 27, 1921, we've met 187 times since then.
And who has the better record? Because I think I was surprised. I was surprised about this one.
Yes. We are inching up. We are an inch above them. It's 92 and 88. 92 and 88. So this week we're going to make it 93. I'm
impressed with our old school Bears.
Yeah.
It has not been recently, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, here's an interesting statistic that when I looked up, I was like, what, really? Us this season? And this is the difference, and we're going to get into the fantasy implications of this game. We are a damn high-scoring offense. We're losing some games, but we are a high-scoring offense. We have the second top-scoring offense in the league right now. We are at 30.4 points a game. The Packers are right behind us at number 3 with 30.3. How's that for a margin?
And that's pretty good. And, we have been losing the games. We've had very close losses, so we haven't been blown out yet.
No.
And I think that overall in offense, including yardage, all those, everything broken down, we're like 11th. So I know the Bears have been like 25th, 21st in the last few years in offense. So we're up there. But our defense is a lot lower than it normally is. Our defense is normally top 10.
And I wanted to get into that, and I didn't even talk to you about this before the show. but in one of my leagues, in one of them, I had to do this. I had to drop the Bears defense. They're just not putting up the points this year. There were at least 5 or 6 defenses on the waiver wire that had more points than the Bears defense. So it would really help if our defense kicked in so we could actually not have these high-scoring, shootouts.
Well, it'd be great. It would help our offense out for sure. And, the thing is they're still getting turnovers, which is great for fantasy, but they're allowing so many yards and so many points scored that's what's killing you. So who did you pick up? I'm interested. Who did you pick up?
Dallas. Had to pick up Dallas. They actually had 18 more points for the season, and they had better matchups going down the line.
And they're playing the Vikings. So
exactly. So I was like, why not? It was on one of my teams that was 2-5, so it was rebuilding time. Sometimes, as you fantasy managers know out there, you just need to take the mallet and just slam it through the lineup and get something else to work. So let's talk about the fact that this is a divisional matchup. Divisional matchups, what do we think of them, Jenilee, fantasy-wise?
They're typically not fun for fantasy. You might get 1 or 2 players in a game that go off, but most everyone does just average or below what you expect them to do. Mm-hmm. So, and like I think it's maybe not going to be high scoring, which sounds so weird, but our games are typically low scoring against the Packers. Even the Packers don't score more. So even though both defenses are playing bad, what if they step up for some reason and the offenses don't score? It's just, you never know in divisional matchups.
And that is what happens in divisional matchups. Against everybody else, our defense sucks. All of a sudden, we're going to step up. They're going to step up. We're going to have this inspirational.
Because you know each other.
Exactly.
You know each other. So.
Exactly. So, for goodness sake, playing either of the defenses, that, is a very iffy situation. But who do you think? Pick one player. Pick one or 2 players that you think might actually perform in this game.
I think Forte is going to. I think he has to. I think we have to lean on the run. We're going to have to make that work. Our offensive line has been opening up those holes. So they have been really helping him out this year. And, we might have to chuck the ball down, do some short passes, try to get yards after the catch.
Right.
And if that's the case, then Forte is going to get points in PPR as well. So I predict he's going to still be a big one this week. I really need Marshall to be, but because I'm wearing him, but I don't know.
I am too.
I don't know.
I'm with you on Marshall, but I'm going to give, in one of my picks, one of the ones I think, so you're going to have to watch Beast Mode and later in the show to actually get my other pick. But I think, surprisingly, if you're in a super pinch, if you look on the waiver wire and you're dealing with Chad Henne, for crying out loud, or just really horrible quarterbacks, take a chance on McCown. What do you got to lose? You're playing against kind of an iffy defense. He did well last week. It was the Redskins' defense, mind you. But he did well. He almost got us back in that game. He got us back in the game and almost won the damn game.
Yeah, I would still say that's a 5 on the ball scale.
Very
but
5.
Very you have 5. Big balls and do it. And on the Packers side, I think Rodgers is definitely going to still do well. At least average at worst.
Of course.
And Jordy Nelson will probably be out there doing his thing. However, I don't think Eddie Lacy is going to get as many fantasy points as people might be expecting. I think that the Bears are going to at least try to shut them down against the run.
He's not going to Brandon Jacobs us? No? You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think that the Bears are going to really go out there and focus on stopping the run. They didn't play Reggie Bush well, but they play Adrian Peterson very well. And Bush is a totally different back than Lacy. So I just wouldn't guarantee that he's going to get you, 15 to 20 fantasy points. I don't know about that.
Your lips to the Bears God's ears, for crying out loud. All right. We're going to come back, and she's going to give you her pick she gives you every week. Her wonderful, wonderful real men. Are you ready?
I'm ready for it.
All right. Let's do it.
I need a real man. Have you seen
Welcome to my Real Man segment. We are in week 9 already of the NFL. I know it has flown by for me, and it's a terrible bye week, but I'm here to help you guys out a little bit. So my first Real Man is wide receiver Denarius Moore of the Raiders. The Raiders play the Eagles defense this week. Now, I know Moore did not have a great week last week, but he's been consistent in other weeks. The Eagles defense has given up 302 passing yards per game, so he should be able to get open. Week 5, he had 5 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown, and week 6, he had 5 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown. So that's where his consistency is coming in. He's not having horrible weeks like last week every week, and he should be on the waiver wire for everyone. And the Eagles defense is second worst in the league. They're giving up 26 points per game and over 400 yards per game. So again, their defense is not getting it done. The Raiders looked great against Pittsburgh, so they're at home again, and this win would put them over 500 for the season. So they're kind of a sleeper team that is still a little bit in the running and winning some games. And the Eagles quarterback situation is definitely iffy. Doesn't look like Vic's going to be a go. Foles is probably going to be in, so I'm not sure how long they're actually going to stay on the field for offense. Now, my second Real Man is running back Adrian Peterson. I know it's AP, but I haven't talked about him this season yet, and I like his matchup. Now, I know Adrian Peterson hasn't done as good as last year, but he is still a #1 running back without a doubt. You can never sit him. But again, I like his matchup this week. Dallas is banged up on defense a little bit, and they're giving up 26 fantasy points to running backs per game. Now, if there's a running back that can get you 20 to 30 fantasy points in a game, it's AP. Also, we know the Vikings quarterback situation is not very good. Now, I don't know why they didn't lean on Adrian Peterson more against the Giants, but I think in order to even have a shot at winning, they have to really lean on him more. He's gotten at least 1 touchdown for everyone, except for 3 games, and he has 7 touchdowns on the season. So again, he's most likely going to get in the end zone. And he's averaging 81.6 yards per game. So even though he's not going over 100 on most games, he still has consistent numbers. You have to play him this week. And my third Real Man for everyone is Seattle's defense. Seattle's defense is playing awesome this year. They're second in the league, and they're only giving up 15.6 points to teams per game. Their matchup this week is completely golden, so you have to play them because they're going to get you fantasy points. They're playing Tampa Bay at home. Tampa Bay is a complete disaster this season. They're 31st in offense, and that is not going to get much better against the 12th man there in Seattle. Now, Seattle is not as good against the run as they are the pass, but you have to remember that Tampa Bay is playing their second-string running back. So I don't think Seattle's going to have a problem stopping the run, and they definitely don't have a problem stopping the pass. And so far, they have 26 sacks and 13 interceptions on the season. That's where you're going to get your fantasy points. They're not going to allow Tampa Bay to do anything, so be sure to start them. I think they're going to ball out. And Greg is going to give his Beast Mode picks now. He's got some great ones like he does every week, so let's go to Greg.
Welcome back to Big Balls Fantasy Football. It's Greg the Beast with your 3 Beasts of the Week, and in the spirit of Halloween, these beasts are so good, they are going to eat the brains of your competition like a zombie holocaust. That is right. My first pick is for you Raider fans out there, quarterback Terrelle Pryor. Now, the reason I needed to pick him up is because I was a bonehead and I actually had Colin Kaepernick and Peyton Manning on the same team. They're both on a bye. I need to go get Pryor. But did you see that run he made last week? 93-yard run from scrimmage from a quarterback. Broke the league record. You can't beat that. This guy has 391 rushing yards this year total. And he's 7.4 yards average every run. That is getting you big time points for a quarterback. He has 5 touchdowns this year, 1,149 yards total passing. I know that's not super high, but this kid's developing. He's going to get better and better every week. And the matchup this week, as Jenilee has already stated, the Raiders are playing the Eagles. For crying out loud. The Eagles are a shambles, as she already told you. Defense is horrible. Quarterback situation is non-existent. Matt Barkley, yet another horrible USC quarterback thrust into the league. Wonderful. Great. Fresh meat for the Raiders. You have to go with Terrelle Pryor. My second beast for you this week is wide receiver Marvin Jones of the Bengals. Now this guy didn't get 1 touchdown. He didn't get 2 touchdowns. He didn't even get 3 touchdowns. He got 4 touchdowns, for crying out loud. Now I know Prost is going to be doing his one-hit blunder dance thinking this is a fluke. But, I mean, the Bengals have Andy Dalton needs to throw to somebody. They've been trying to get their offense a little mixed up. I know they only put him in multiple receiver situations, but it looks like Marvin Lewis is trying to switch it up a little bit. A lot of people are going to tell you, A.J. Green is double teamed. Fine, but you need to play him. Then they're going to tell you to put in Sanu. Don't go with those people. Go with my guy. Go with Jones. He has been doing pretty damn well besides his 4 touchdowns. And this is a early week gamble with the Dolphins. I think you're going to get some early points against a piss-poor Dolphin defense. You can get some really quick points on the board early before your competition. Week 7 against the Lions went 4 for 57. He got a touchdown. Week 6 against the Bills went 3 for 71. Got a touchdown. That's like a 23-yard average per catch. You got to go with Jones. Go pick him up off the waiver wire. My third beast for you this week is on the Bears. No, it's not Brandon Marshall. It's Alshon Jeffrey. A lot of people have forgotten about him, but he has emerged in the last few weeks. I was even guilty, yes, as a Bear fan, but you always put fantasy before your actual team. I threw Jeffrey out onto the waiver wire about 3 weeks ago. He has come along. You need to pick him up. I actually found him on a few of the waiver wires, brought him back onto my teams. I am going to go crazy this week because the Packers defense, I think, is going to be iffy. I know it's a divisional matchup. I'm going to gamble. I'm going to take a chance. This is like a 3 to 4 balls pick. It's Monday Night Football. I think this kid's actually going to shine. A lot of receivers just decide to emerge. A lot of running backs decide to emerge. Jeffrey, I think, is going to have his night. McCown has the most points against the Packers. He threw to him a lot in that Redskins game, late in the game. Gave him a lot of targets. I think he's going to match up with McCown. I think he's going to have a good vibe with him on Monday Night Football against the Packers. Week 5 against the Saints, Alshon went 10 for 218, 1 touchdown. Week 7 with the Redskins, he went 4 for 105 yards. It's a lot of yards. PPR. You got to love him. You have to go with Alshon Jeffrey this week. So next, we are going to have Prost, our awesome Packer backer down in San Diego, who, yes, roots for the Chargers. He won't admit it unless you're at a game with him or hanging out with him. He'll have his Packer green on. But he roots for the Chargers, but he's a die-hard Packer fan. And because this week is Monday Night Football, Bears, Packers, we're bringing him on, and he's also going to give you his one-hit blunders and his injury report for this week. Stay tuned.
Okay, we're here with Big Balls Fantasy Football, and I don't have my co-host Greg here with me, so I'm doing this all on my own. But I'm in San Francisco and I met some pretty awesome locals. So I'm here with one of them. And give your name for the camera.
I'm Ryan.
Ryan, now are you a true San Francisco 49ers fan?
Die hard.
How long have you loved the 49ers?
Since before I can remember.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you play fantasy as well, correct?
Yes, I do.
So how many years have you played fantasy?
Oh boy, probably since about 2000, 2001, so like 12, 13 years.
Okay, so you're a veteran by this point.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
So how is your year going so far? Who are some of the players that you have in your league? One of your leagues this year.
Yeah, no. One of my teams is doing really, really well. I'm really proud of him. I had a good draft. I have No Sean Moreno. I got him late. Now he's been a great player for me so far. Andrew Luck has provided some good value later in the rounds. Some of my first picks were Trent Richardson. Let's see, who else did I get? I got Gronk pretty late too. Ended up keeping him. He's been good lately. And I have the Bengals D, which has been inconsistent, but they're a good team as well. And right now I'm 5-2, so I'm holding my own.
Okay, so you're 5-2, but this is a big bye week. There's 6 different teams on the bye. So who are your key players that are on a bye? Are you having any bye week troubles?
A little bit, yeah. Thank God I have a lot of depth because Andy Dalton was my backup QB, and I had Luck on a bye, so I plugged Dalton into the quarterback position. He had a good game today, put up over 25 points, so I'm happy with that. Trent Richardson, who hasn't been as good as advertised, I would think, on the new team on the Colts. He had a bye as well, but he's still a solid running back, so I had to plug in a backup to replace him. So.
Okay, well, I struggled with bye weeks myself, so again, thank you for talking to us on Big Balls Fantasy Football.
Of course. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely.
All right.
Welcome back to Big Balls Fantasy Football. We all know the game that's coming up this week is Monday Night Football with the Bears and the Packers. It doesn't get any better than this. 187 meetings of the two teams. We haven't met with them on Monday Night Football in Lambeau since '97, for crying out loud. So, of course, we had to bring Prost in, all decked out and ready to go here. So, what do you think are your chances of actually beating us, Guy?
Really?
Yeah, really.
That's a serious question, is it?
Yes, it's a serious question. Answer.
I don't have any doubt in my mind. Even my third string defense. I mean, look what we've been doing. The Bears are a speed bump on the way to bigger things.
Well, no. You see, our defense has been sucking. I'll give you that. But tell us about our offense.
Well, our offense is, I think, 11th in the league so far, so they're not terrible by any means. And I need to tell you that cheese on your head is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. So
it smells like Limburger, dude.
It's been known to save lives. He was in a plane crash, used it to brace himself and survived, walked away. It's a life-saving piece of foam.
Oh, for love of God.
But I actually have to admit, I am nervous about this game. We typically don't play very well up there. We play a little bit better against the Packers at home. And you guys still have your quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. So I know you guys have a lot of receivers out, a lot of defenders out, but they have Aaron Rodgers and Eddie Lacy.
They have Aaron Rodgers and Eddie Lacy, but your receiver core is depleted. And now let's talk from a fantasy perspective really quick. Most divisional games, and we talk about this all the time, they're fantasy poison because they're either big defensive struggles or you just can't get any momentum going with your players. How do you think your receivers or any of your players from a fantasy perspective are going to do, Prost?
Watching the way Rodgers was placing, ear hole balls they were sent on TV to Nelson, not too worried about those two. Corliss, he's a blocking tight end. He can't catch. Oh, he may get one or two, but fantasy-wise, Boykin's coming on. He'll be all right. And then we're starting to put starts in more. So we're going to have actually a two-headed running machine, which is something the Packers haven't had two running backs for years. I go back to, I want to say, John Brockington and MacArthur Lane.
Who? What year is that?
I wasn't born yet.
Yeah, she wasn't even thought of.
We don't need a running game. We have a
I think the Bears are going to do better than people think they are generally because, as I mentioned on the last show, our quarterback has done the best against your team, has scored 21 points. That's more than Cutler's ever scored against the Packers at all. So,
well, I hope so, and I'm wearing my brand new Brandon Marshall jersey. So, he's definitely one that needs to step up for us. Forte, I think Forte is going to get the ball a lot in the game. We need to kind of lean on that running game. So, who knows? It'd be interesting if it would be a high-scoring game, but typically they're not. Typically they're very low-scoring games, but both defenses are playing bad. So, it'll be interesting to see which way the table tilts.
Well,
you're with Cutler once back in, so you guys put Wishbone with him, so he's back out again.
Hey, I have Marshall on too, so Wonder Twin powers activate. We're locking it in right here. It's 2 against 1. So, you guys are going down. But let's get to his segment, Jenilee. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely. So every week, Prost gives us a one-hit blunder, and it's a player that maybe went off 1 week, maybe 2 weeks in the season, and everyone's running out to grab him off the waiver wire, and then they do nothing for the rest of the season. So when we come back, he's going to let us know who he predicted last week and what that result was, and then who he's predicting this week to be the one-hit blunder and not pan out. So we're going to get into that in the injury report when we come back.
Last week I said not to trust Peyton Hillis, and he rewarded me. He got a combined 85 yards, 70 on the ground, 15 in the air. I think it was 2 catches, no touchdowns. He disappointed as I figured he would. Not very impressive numbers. This week I'm on the anti-Percy Harvin bandwagon. Everyone's all over this guy. You'll find out later in the injury segment he might actually have a chance of getting on the field a bit more than I would expect. He's a return man. He's not a receiver. We've been through this. He's rusty. He was supposed to play Sunday night. He went down Thursday. He aggravated that hip that's already been hurting him. You'll pick him up. You say, hey, I've had faith in him. I'm holding on to him. He'll come around. I know he'll be rescued, blah, 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 blah. What you know is in your fantasy playoffs, assuming you make it there, week 14, Seattle goes to San Francisco. Week 15, they go to New York. Yeah, you said New York, you laugh. New York plays better ball late in the season, and it's the road for Seattle. They barely escaped with their teeth on Sunday night, or Monday night rather. So he's not for me. I would avoid Percy Harvin.
That's going to crush some people out there. I know a lot of people went and grabbed him. There is someone that I know that absolutely always loves Percy every year. So I like
get
that.
On in here.
That's
get on in
interesting.
here. Come on, get on in here. This is
Percy, I love you, man. I love you.
See, this is the one-man Percy Harvin fan club here. Even though he's a Titans fan, he's still very, very, very into Percy. So you're gonna make him cry. But I'm kind of with you on it. We don't know how much he's actually gonna play. That's the iffy thing. So it's we're gonna bring him back at whatever his pace is. Blah blah blah. It's typical Coach Pete Carroll doing what he did even back in USC. Oh, he might play, he might not play.
Absolutely, and this is a tough bye week. So.
Yeah.
Like we've kind of already mentioned,
it's
hard a week like this to chance a player that you have no idea how they're going to perform. You need to try to get people on your roster that you feel like have some guaranteed value, even if it's 11 or 12 points.
Right.
That's better than nothing. So
definitely.
I like it.
Speaking of dealing with the bye weeks, injuries have just been insane. Prost, when we come back, we're going to get your injury report, right?
Yeah, sounds good. Let me get my scroll out.
Stay tuned, everybody.
questionable and probable players, since they're probably going to play, we don't need to worry about them. I'm going to have to leave off the impact defensive players.
You think if we do this, we injure him? What do you think? What do you think?
It turns out your DeMarco Murray's and people like that haven't really been that big of a detriment to the team. Packers are sliding without Clay Matthews and their backup Nick Perry, so we're good there. We'll leave the defense alone. The hamstring list: Michael Vick, Santonio Holmes, Arian Foster, to name, those are the three that may or may not be playing. Vick wants to, he'll be out. Holmes is definitely out. Foster, he says he wants to play, but he's looking bad as well. It's a lingering hammy. Mike Williams from Tampa Bay, his hamstring, he's done. He had surgery. That's the hamstring list. We'll get to Broyles in Detroit. He cracked his Achilles. He's done. Lucky for them, the pizza man will be back after the bye, in theory. They're trying to get him back after the bye, so if you got a chance to grab Nate Burleson, now would be the chance to do it. RG3, they said the knee is fine. His psyche is what's damaged. He does not look like the same guy. He looks scared out there. That's the best way to put it. He's not throwing accurately.
True that.
It's still an issue for him. St. Louis, Stacy, the only thing they really have on that team, injured his ankle late in the game last week. It's a low ankle sprain. We'll see how he's recovering. And as I alluded to, Simeon Rice went out with a concussion last night and at some point must have fallen down the stairs because they're reporting he has a torn ACL.
Yep.
He's done for the year.
Did you say Simeon Rice? Sydney Rice.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, he's in the same category as
Tony Amendola.
Yeah.
Him and Tony Amendola hang out at the bar together all the time.
I'm so old school. I got the old Tampa Bay Buccaneers in my head.
I know. But you see, that's why we have, one name nicknames here, so that way we can remember our names. That's the only reason we do it. Otherwise, I'd call you Joe Goforth. That's what I'd call you.
It's just a lot easier to have one name. Thanks to Madonna and people like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
The other half of Houston, the handcuff for Foster, Ben Tate, broken. He wants to play too, not looking too good. Houston actually called people up off the street, asked if they'd ever run the football before. They had 3 tryouts today.
They called me. I think they called Trey over there too. But
I pulled my hammy.
Yeah, but we said no because we don't want to play for the Texans. So.
That was pretty much. I told them the same thing. I was like, thanks, but no thanks. My Packer tattoo might give away too much stuff, so
yeah,
can't be doing that. But anyway, that's the injury list as it stands today. Come back Sunday, check to see who's actually playing and who's not. And since it is early in the week, we still have practices. More guys are going to get hurt. It's amazing to keep a fantasy roster going at this stage.
Yeah, I don't know if it's more injuries this year than other years. I just know it seems like it because in fantasy, you're always looking at your roster and, at least one player is going down a week from your roster, it seems like. So, it does seem like it's more.
I do think it's more this season. I think you're dealing with a lot of what it is every season, and I say it every season. It's conditioning. Nobody conditions themselves in the off season, and then your big guys go down, and then the secondary guys that aren't conditioned because they didn't think they were going to be playing, they go down, and then all of a sudden you have Zach Stacy. Yeah.
Well, and the league doesn't allow the players to practice as long as they used to either, which goes into conditioning because if you're getting more practice time in on the field, you're running around more, everything like that. So I think that with the NFL trying to make things safer, it's actually doing the reverse effect a little bit.
I agree.
And you get your regulars, your McFadden's, your Bradshaws. Oh, they got hurt again. Yeah, we knew that. That's why we had contingency plans for that. Give an Ironman like Reggie Wayne done for the year. Go ahead. I'm sure everyone's done it. Look at your top positions to fill bye weeks. This guy's on IR. This guy's out.
Yep.
Your top 5 guys, 3 of them are done for the year. Your top top 10, 7 are done for the year, and that's of the fantasy players. These are guys that put up so many numbers in the first half of the season that they still have the highest rankings over their scrub subs that can't do anything.
Mm-hmm. So thanks a lot for the injury report. All I have is one thing to say. The way we have him positioned here, doesn't he kind of look like a yellow penis? I mean, really.
This is what I deal with all the time. These are the people I work with.
We're just guys here.
Thrust it, don't you?
Hey.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our show for everyone tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's some Week 9 info
Yes.
for you. And be sure to follow us. Go to our official website, bigballsfantasyfootball.com. Tweet us at bigballsfball. Where can they find us on Facebook?
You can, of course, go to facebook.com/bigballsfootball, fantasy football, Big Balls Fantasy Football, and we have all of our injury updates. I get them on Sunday morning, bright and early. Jump on there. And you also definitely want to, find us. We're on Pinterest. We're on every single site. If you go to bigballsfantasyfootball.com, every single link is there. But what you really want to do is double your money, double your picks. You want to go to our podcast that we post every Wednesday about the same time that we post up our video cast. And you want to go to blogtalkradio.com/GRR. It's on the Greg Reifsteck Radio Network.
Sounds good. So do we have anything special going on next week?
We will have to find out. We're going to find out if we win. That's what's going to happen.
That's it. I think we should have a friendly wager going.
Passing as we go, this thing here, I named it Bears because it gets smoked every week.
Oh!
Just for that, we are going to think of a wager.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yeah. You're going to, we're going to, brats against pizza, huh?
Something.
Brats against pizza. We'll do like the mayors always do. So, basically, you didn't even pay us back on our radio bet so far. So, we should go like double or nothing on that.
I think so.
Let's go double or nothing.
Last year was last year because I don't want to take that one for free. I went sweeping you guys. I lost on a whole different side thing. Had my shoulder surgery. Couldn't make it up for the Bear game.
Excuses.
Feeling scared? Feeling scared?
We need a whole new bet. I mean, I'll take double or nothing. That'll get me out of having to wear that Bear shirt next time.
Listen to the podcast. We're going to have a bet. All right?
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and good night.
Good night.